Mrs. Kathy Maney, Calvert County Chamber of Commerce. It's been a long time coming. I've been trying to get you on here for the last couple months, and I'm excited to talk to you. I think this is going to be a great conversation that a lot of people are interested in hearing.
I hope so.
Yeah. So why don't you start by just explaining who you are in the Calvert County Chamber of Commerce and what you guys do?
Okay, great. So a little bit of background about me. One, my husband was active duty Air Force for 20 years, and we got put here in Calvert County, or at least in Maryland. And when we moved here, I started my own business, and I wanted to get involved in the community, business community. So I joined the chamber in 2015. So in 2018, I joined the chamber to get engaged and to network, meet people, and then getting put on the board of directors. And then in 2020, this is where most people think I'm crazy. And then in March or April of 2020, they asked me to serve as the president and CEO.
Okay.
Now, most people think you're in the middle of the pandemic, probably not the sharpest tool in the shed I am, but none of us had ever been through a pandemic, nothing like that. So you can get creative, you can do crazy things, you can shake things up, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it was the best time because I could do just about anything. And we did tying the community together. We Zoomed all types of things, and we did things that we've never done before. So that was the start, and we survived. And we also helped a lot of businesses when they were reopening or while they were trying to figure things out. And that was very important to the chamber.
I feel like that was a very crucial time where businesses were relying on you to really help.
They were, and a lot of agencies too.
Yeah.
And we all know there was a lot of static, a lot of noise out there, a lot of messages, the governor's office, the health departments, and different things. So we tried to be working with the county and economic development and all of our players and partners to make sure that there was a resource, a place for them to go so they would know that the information out there was real and the most accurate that it could be. And so that was, you're right, it was very crucial and it was important.
And that was a very ever-changing time, like with the regulations. It was almost like every 2 weeks, it was like something new you couldn't do.
It was very fluid.
Right.
It was very fluid. We had a few events that we were planning actually, and this was, I'm going to say our event was going to be at Christmas time, and things had opened up. And then immediately we had a spike in our COVID cases. And so we had to shut it down, just like everybody else.
Right.
So the minute you see that you're starting to get a crest and things are starting to improve, and then the rug gets pulled out from underneath you. It was a tough time. And still, I'll be honest, there are a lot of small businesses, as you're very well aware, I'm sure, they're still trying to recover. Right. They're still operating on very thin margins, trying to figure it out and trying to get ahead still, trying to recuperate.
Yeah, so. No doubt. In my world, the contracting world, if anything, it kind of boosted everything. Like it helped our industry because people were home and spending money on their house. But like other industries, though, like definitely the food service industry was hit hard. And I think that's especially that time is when you can see where an organization like yours definitely is beneficial to small businesses.
Yeah, and it's funny because we had a lot of new members come in during that time. We lost members, don't get me wrong, because obviously they were looking at their budgets. Right.
Sure.
And so we are a membership organization and our budgets come from just our membership and our revenue. Yep. We're not part of the Calvert County government, although a lot of people think that. But we had a lot of entrepreneurs. And you're right, people were at home. So one, they're thinking about, what can I do in my house now that I'm sitting here, it needs a paint job or I need to replace a carpet. But also there were a lot of people that had either lost their job or were thinking about how can I improve my business because they had time to think about it. And then we had a lot of people that started their own business. And so we had quite a few new members that were entrepreneurs. Yeah. And so there's a lot of negative about, the pandemic and what COVID did. But on the other hand, it did give a lot of businesses opportunities to really reflect. And then for some people to kind of reorganize their lives and maybe prioritize them.
Yeah, sure. Now, so the Chamber of Commerce is a nonprofit, correct?
Correct.
But it's not part of the government.
Correct.
It's a nonprofit organization that serves the business community.
Correct.
Locally, just in Calvert. Is that right?
We pay attention to things that are going on at the local, state, and federal level.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that's for all businesses. We actually have members in St. Mary's, Prince George's, Charles, and even Virginia.
Okay.
So, but when we're talking about local, then obviously we're paying attention to what's going on here in Calvert County, for sure.
Yeah. So, and then that's basically you serve the business community.
Yes.
Or is there any other aspects to what you guys do?
Well, we do have individuals, and I'll tell you, you bring up a very good point. In our membership, we're at about 400 members, and over 70% of those members are 1 to 20 employees. And, even in the state of Maryland, under 50 is considered small business. But for my calculations, anything under 20 employees is small business when I'm talking about the 70%. So that's one employee, a solopreneur, or it could be a mom and pop kind of business.
Right.
So those are the ones that, and we all know in most instances, those are the businesses that get overlooked a lot.
Yeah. Well, they're the ones that need help too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What are some benefits of being a member?
Well, we have quite a few that we want our members to take advantage of. One of the biggies in July of 24, we redid we got rid of the old website and we brought in a new website. For that purpose, it was to put our members' best foot forward. So each member has a business profile page, so they can list their events, to post those and advertise those. They can put pictures, all types of things. But it's putting them out there, which they have full control over, okay? So sharing videos and different things like that. So we can help promote that. They can go to networking events that are free to our members. So huge opportunity to get to know other like-minded business owners. The other thing is creating partnerships. Sometimes we all need other people to help our business grow. So a lot of times, let's say there's somebody that you'd like to meet to help your business. If I know that person, or maybe even somebody I'm affiliated with knows them, I would help make that introduction, because it's important that we all work together. This is how we grow and how we become stronger as a business community. So that's a few of the things, but there's community events. There's all types of different things that we do that help do that.
Yeah. No, the networking thing and just making the relationships with people. Like I've learned, like I've been in business for 10 years, and every year that you grow, you have like a new need, right? And the people that you were talking to may not be able to answer the new questions or the new problems that you have. So you're constantly looking for a new network of people to like run ideas off of, So I think that's a great, like I'm a member of the Chamber of Commerce.
Yep.
Probably don't utilize it nowhere near enough like I should. But
I'm here today.
That's right. Yeah, this is something, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. No, and I mean, you're definitely a key role in helping Calvert businesses thrive. So like, you deal with a lot of different industries, a lot of different business owners. What gets you excited about our local economy, our local community of businesses?
Well, I will say with the Chamber, we have 3 pillars that we operate under. One is to advocate, one is to educate, and the other is to connect. So with those 3 pillars, that gives us a huge opportunity to help businesses. And the one that gets me really excited, other than bringing people together or seeing people engage at our functions, is when we can advocate for our businesses. And I'll give you 2 examples. The first one is in the 2023 General Assembly in Annapolis. We had to go up there with the county and some of our other partners like Calvert County Minority Business Alliance and the Southern Maryland Minority Chamber. And we went up there to fight in order to get Calvert County allowed to look at local preference. Now, it's sad that we have to go to Annapolis to get permission to do things, but that's the way things are set up with our government. So, some of us went up to testify, and we did, and we were very fortunate. We've been trying to do this for years, and luckily, this time we got it to go through. Now, what does that mean? Well,
so other counties I work in do have local preference, and I've said that for a long time in Calvert, like especially at the power plant or the government contracts, like there should be a local preference or some sort of allowance for local contractors be able to get a foot in the door there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if it's money, government money, we want that money to stay in Calvert County, where our families live, work, spend, shop, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And when you drive around and you see a government project and you don't see a local company working on that project, that's not a good sign.
No.
Or we didn't like it.
Like down at Calvert Cliffs, you go in there to give them a price to do excavation work or cut trees, and they have some out-of-state guy from like Arkansas in there. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like keep the money local,
Yeah.
But
so we got that through, and that was a huge win. And so that's in place. Now, and again,
has that started yet?
Yes, it has.
Okay.
And so now we hadn't had a lot of big projects come through yet, but the other nice thing is we now have things in place so we can gather the data and we can look at that, right? So if things need to change with that ordinance or that regulation, we can certainly change that because It is new, brand new. The next one is this past year in 2024, I should say, just closed out in 2025. But in this last session, Probably you heard about the business-to-business tax, which was going to be 2.5% on services. Well, as a small business, you don't have a person that takes care of your computers or your administrative, maybe your payroll, certain things of that nature. Most small businesses don't have that in-house. So any service, landscaping, printing, all these different things that they were going to need to pay for, we'd have to slap a 2.5% charge on top of, a tax.
Yeah, right.
So as I said earlier, we're working on thin margins, and you're asking a company to pay a tax on top of that. It could be the difference between staying in business or closing their doors.
Sure. And I mean, the regulations in the state of Maryland are already through the roof. What's your opinion on that? Like, what are some of the biggest obstacles you see small businesses in Calvert facing every day, whether that's county regulation with the permit office or whatever, all the way up to the state level? I mean, like the world that I'm in, doing the excavation and critical area, projects, like whether we're removing trees that are on the river or whatever, I mean, they just make it so difficult to do anything, to be productive, that, I just don't know if it can get any more regulated. And it's really just disheartening and making a lot of people just not want to work in the state of Maryland is basically what it's getting to.
Well, it's funny you say that, Gene, because I'm going to pull some numbers because I want to tell you about some of the numbers for the state of Maryland, because this is disheartening to me, because we had this conversation a little bit earlier. In the state of Maryland, our tax climate alone is rated 46th. We're not business friendly here.
No.
Not even close. Not even close. Right. Not to mention the fact that they just added a tax, which on certain industry codes where they're going to be adding a tech tax of 3%. So we got past that business to business because we fought so hard for it.
Right.
They had a number of people, chambers, businesses that showed up to say, we can't afford this tax. However, they threw in the tax. So with that being the case, now that's web hosting, data storage, streaming services, computer data store, all these things that small businesses use. The state of Virginia is 28th for tax climate. Pennsylvania is 34th, and Delaware is 18th. Our neighboring states. Now, a couple of them are not too far, but 28th and 34th is still quite a ways from 46th.
Yeah, no doubt.
Cost of doing business, we're 47th. How many states do we have?
Puts a lot in perspective with
numbers. It does.
Yeah.
It does. And business friendly overall, we're 37th.
Okay.
So, and talking about people leaving, we all hear it, 200,000 people left in 2024, I believe the year was, and most of them moved to Virginia and Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, about 20,000 of them, went to Florida and Texas.
Right.
No state tax for income tax, and it's more tax friendly.
100%. And, with friends and family, you talk, and this isn't talking politics, this is just talking data. It's not, the state of Maryland's not a business-friendly state to work in, and it's not friendly to retire in.
No.
So everybody's talking about like, okay, well, close up shop, move somewhere else, because there's so many states that are so much more, they're just easier to work in.
Yeah.
And easier to live in, easier to retire in. So it's like, what, in your opinion, you do it every day, and you talk with a lot of different businesses across a lot of different industries. What needs to happen in Annapolis for our numbers to be better, for this to be a more business-friendly state?
If we can't fund it, we shouldn't have a program. My thing is when you're building a budget, I mean, it's not rocket science. If your revenue is not high enough, you're going to end up with a deficit.
Right.
You can't rob Peter to pay Paul, right? Because that's not going to help. I just think something is simple. It was funny because when I was watching the testimony, there was a gentleman, CPA, I believe, and he gets up to the mic and he says, here is a simple fix. Instead of a business-to-business tax, and this was when we were just on the business-to-business side before the tax came in, he said, add a percentage to sales tax. I mean, when you think about it, when you pay sales tax, do you think that much about it? I mean, it's going to be there.
Right.
You've got to pay it.
Yep.
So you add a percentage or whatever. And honestly, this tech tax is only good if people will use these services. And I guarantee people will either move out of state or they'll find a way around it.
Right.
And so if you can't gather that revenue, that money is not going to exist.
Yeah.
So I just think we need to take a hard look at the programs and to make hard cuts. We know they're hard.
Yeah.
Nobody likes to cut their budget.
No. And I think as a small business owner in Southern Maryland, I think nobody likes the direction that the state's going, right? So it's either, the way that I see it, there's two options. Either you close up shop and move, start somewhere else, or you try to change it. And I think an organization like yours is a way to try to make change to make it better. But like just sitting around complaining about it but not doing anything to change it, that's not an option. So you know what I'm saying? So, I think that would be another benefit of being a member of the Chamber of Commerce, is to try to just make the entire business environment better to work in our state.
Well, it is, because I'll be honest, small businesses don't have the money for lobbyists like a McCormick or an Under Armour or some of those large businesses. So they need organizations like the Chamber to advocate for them, to go up to Annapolis and to testify and to call the legislators. Or the other part is, in our e-blast, we put out the information of call to action or special legislative things. Reach out to our delegation. Let them know you're not happy. If you don't speak up, they don't know. Same thing with me. If there's a problem in the county, I don't know about it unless it's impacted me or I've heard it from someone through conversation. So it's just important that our business owners need to, one, be engaged and to speak up.
100%.
Yeah.
Just have an open discussion.
Dialogue. Yeah, for sure.
So talking about in the county, as a contractor, a couple of the issues I see in the county are, I guess, inspections and permits office is a big topic of discussion, and planning and zoning's been a big one too. So can you kind of touch base on both of them? Because I'm sure you deal with
I knew
people.
you were going to get to that.
Yeah.
What's really been great is, one, they do have a new person. Mary Beth Cook was fabulous, but they do have a new person, Jason Brinkley. I think I mentioned to you, super common sense guy, got a great background, and he's going to lead his team to do some great things. The other thing is, a lot of that is online now, because I think the biggest thing that I was hearing is lag time. Right? Put it in, then you wait, and you wait, and you wait. And of course, especially if you have a mortgage or whatever the case may be.
Or construction loan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's costing you money. Not everybody has that kind of cash, right? So that kind of lag time is not good. So now they have it all online, and that's with projects and applications and then the permit process. So hopefully that will help the process along. The other part too is the Chamber can help with that. If that becomes an issue, please reach out to the Chamber. We're happy to help. But what I always suggest, and I don't know if people don't know they exist or just don't think about it at the onset. Reach out, if you're a business, reach out to economic development, because they can help maybe flag an issue, or maybe issue isn't the right term, but they might be able to see something, maybe how it was zoned prior, or maybe how it was permitted prior, whatever the case may be. Yeah. But they're a great resource.
So that's the Department of Economic Development, which is a branch of the county government.
Correct. Yeah, Julie Oberg is the director of that office. So start with them before you even start the project. Yeah. And they work with fire marshal, health department, as well as departments within the county. So they're a great resource.
Yeah, that's a great recommendation for sure.
Yeah.
We do work in pretty much 5 or 6 counties here, a little bit in Virginia. We do permits in all of them. Calvert's the slowest, for sure.
I have heard that before. Yeah. But I think it's going to get better. It's got to get better.
Got to get better.
It's got to get better.
Can't get any worse. Right?
It's got to go up.
And I've heard the frustrations too from people in the county government that they're just like, the department's just not up to speed. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. It's once it gets in the system, are they being looked at quick enough? And because let's be honest, there's not a whole lot of building going on in Calvert County.
Not comparatively to
other counties,
like to Charles County or whatever. So it's like, how are they able to keep up? We're not.
That's what I was saying.
Right. What about planning and zoning? So there's been a big topic of discussion with the rezoning, and what are your
when you're
thoughts there?
talking about the new ordinance, I would suggest people, it's a lot. One thing that draws my attention, though, is when we're talking about these, I'm trying to think of the correct term for them, but let's say you own a farm or land or whatever, and you want to give some to your children or whatever. There's a time limit on how soon you can subdivide. You've got 2 years to do that. So there's a lot of things that have changed, small changes, but they can be pretty critical, right? I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't have all the details on those that have changed, but the beauty is it is online. It's very well broken down, so you can look at those things.
Sure. Yeah, I've looked at it online because it's like there's changes to it's no longer just zoned industrial. There's like light industrial, like different categories under each one.
And I think they're trying to look at that too because of, seriously, light.
Yeah. Well, like for me personally, right? Like, we do tree removal and excavation, and I have dump trucks and big trailers, equipment, but so does, the farmer down the street, right? Like if you pull into his barn, he's got the same shit in his barn that I have in mine.
Right.
So, and he's making money with it. I'm making money with it. So why is
the difference?
What's the difference? So like, am I able with McKenzie Contracting to go purchase a 40-acre farm, put a pole barn on it and run my business out of it and just consider it an ag business?
Yeah.
Why am I not able to do that? But he is, and he's in a completely different tax bracket, different regulations. You know what I'm saying? Like
another inconsistency.
It's an inconsistency. Yeah. And I don't know, do you think that's just at the county level or the state level with that?
That I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, but it's frustrating. Especially like if say you're looking to purchase a piece of property for $1 million and then you can't get a straight answer from anybody on how you could properly use it.
Yeah, and that was the other thing too, and I'm not going to go into a lot of details because I'm sure I'm going to get it wrong, but I had someone, a chamber member, call me who wanted to have events at her barn, but she thought she had restrictions. What happened was I made a phone call to Kathy McAdams in economic development because this person wanted to have events. It wasn't going to be necessarily as a big revenue thing, but she just wanted to have more events in her barn. Come to find out, it wasn't zoned ag, but it had a completely different zoning type thing. Well, now she can have as many events as she wants.
Yeah.
But it's just trying to be able to get into those records, which I don't have access to. Nobody else does, but the government folks. But sometimes it's just asking the right questions or getting to the right person. And so that's how we can help.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think what I've learned the hard way a few times is nobody's going to give you, and there's so many inconsistencies, and nobody's going to give you all the answers unless you ask the questions.
You have to ask.
You have to ask, and you got to ask different people and get different responses, and then you got to put all the information together and come up with your pretty much your own case on why you can do something. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think that's the biggest, one of the other complaints that I've heard too is the inconsistency. One, with different inspectors or, regulation is being interpreted by this person differently than this person, as you're saying.
Right.
How do you move forward with that?
Yeah.
Do you go somewhere in the middle? Is it that gray area that you operate under? And hopefully with some of the changes, we'll see that with new management. But it does make me, some of the things you were talking about with the waterfront and some of those other things, where that comes into an issue is at the state level. Now, my thing is, how can we change those? Because half of those people don't even come down here, have no idea.
Yeah.
So
I've witnessed it firsthand. I'm a member of the Farm Bureau, and you go to like these legislative brunches and stuff, and you got people from Annapolis that come down, and you'll have county commissioners there listening and shaking hands and stuff. But they're just pretty much just telling you what the what the
reg says,
what they're trying to change. Like the EPA is trying to change the different regulation on how close to the river you can spray fertilizer and stuff, and well, that affects a whole lot of farmers. In Calvert, there's a lot of waterfront farms, and then you get the other side saying, well, we're fighting it this way and whatever. But it's just getting more and more regulated because once something gets regulated, it never gets deregulated. Yeah. It never gets easier.
Yeah.
So like, for example, they say you can't cut trees within 1,000 feet of tidal water without a permit. Well, if EPA says, well, we're going to make that 1,500 feet now, further away, include more property in that area. Well, then you'll get the pushback and say, well, let's just make it 1,200 feet. And they're like, okay, well, we still lost. You know what I'm saying? Like it's still more regulated. So, you just take less of a loss. And it's like that every time, so it's like, I don't know.
Can't win.
You can't win.
Yeah. And you can't put it back in the can once it's out, like you said, It
never goes backwards.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating for sure.
Well, and it goes to the whole thing too with some of the planning and zoning and some of this, planning with the EDUs, right? To, build here in Calvert.
Yeah.
We've not had real growth here in Calvert for a number of years, less than 0.5%, right? So now we're down to 4 EDUs across the county. Can't do a whole lot with that.
Yeah.
As a builder, which is why we don't have a lot of building going on here. That creates another issue. And then the other thing that I've heard some noise about are the tap fees. Have you heard anything about that either?
Tap fees or?
For water and sewer?
Well, no, I haven't. Because I just recently built a house in 2022, and it's well and, it's a...
Oh, yeah, I'm well, too.
So
thank goodness.
Well and septic. But, yeah, I know I do remember hearing a bunch of the screaming going on. I think it was in the beach towns, right? In the
Yeah.
Twin Beaches.
Yeah, because they have
water
that
and
too.
sewer. Yeah.
But so there was a couple of small businesses that wanted to come into Calvert County. And they're, again, they're small, not a big corporation. And in order to set up, their tap fees were going to be, I don't know, I'm just going to give you the numbers for one EDU. Okay. So in order for your water, it's $3,200. And for your sewer, it's $21,000.
21,000?
Yeah. Per EDU. Those are per EDU. So you're talking about $24,200
Now,
per EDU.
Can you explain what an EDU is?
Well, not very well.
Okay.
But it is the equivalent of a dwelling unit.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So, and these are commercial. So residential is a little bit lower, and it's based on 200 gallons, I think it is, of water. I know I'm going to get that wrong. Somebody's going to call me and go, you didn't get that right. But it is based on water for, your wastewater flow type thing, right? So 200 gallons a day is how they base it. So if you're a restaurant.
In a commercial unit.
Yep.
So a restaurant's definitely going to use that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then some. Right. So that's how they they calculate it. And then on top of that, if you have a grease trap or you've got bulk water or septage.
Yeah.
So add all that up. Just for one EDU at, let's say $24,000, make it easy math, and you're trying to open a business. Now, what mom and pop is going to have an extra $24K in order to open a business? Which is why which don't get me wrong, I having some of these other businesses come to town is fine. But if we want those mom and pops to be able to come to Calvert, to bring something new, they're not going to be able to afford this.
Right.
These tap fees are expensive. So that's one of the complaints that I've heard. So,
okay.
Anyways.
So that's one of the,
that's another sore spot.
One of the sore spots that's kind of preventing new business from coming into Calvert.
I would say so. Yeah. For small business.
Sure.
For small business. But you've seen what's happening in, down in Prince Frederick. We've got some stuff happening there on the corner of Dares Beach, and going to have some new stuff happening there.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, that's a big project. That's
huge.
How many new businesses are coming in there?
Oh, I don't know the number because
it's gotta be,
I try to keep up.
A dozen or so?
Yeah. I mean, you've got Michael's and you've got Aldi and, they're Foster's Bar and Grill.
Ace Hardware, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited because I think it's going to be great. I know there's a new spa that's going to be in there, and so there'll be some nice things going in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another thing on top of the fees that you just talked about, what we put in is the stormwater systems that are required now. And if you build a commercial project, I mean, it could, between bioretention ponds and rain gardens and dry wells, and they make you collect all the rainwater and then collect it or filter it somehow. And on a commercial project, that could cost you $50,000. So,
no kidding,
big money. Okay. And they do it on new residential builds too. Like I built a house 3 years ago and had to put in I think 5 or 6 dry wells. It was another $12,000 just to put dry wells in to collect the rainwater off the roof.
Well, I don't think I'm going to be moving anytime soon or building anything new.
Yep.
I mean, I'll stay in the big house because I don't want to have any of these kind of issues. You know.
No, it makes it tough. For sure.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, so do you have any advice? I mean, you already said the Department of Economic Development. That was a good piece of advice there. But anything else to small business on how to navigate all the regulations and stuff? Yeah.
One of our partners is fabulous, which I don't think a lot of people recognize the fact that they are free, and that is the Small Business Development Centers. Now, they are part of SBA, but also fall under the College of Southern Maryland. They can help with financing, grants, helping you write your business plan, kind of walking you through the process, which is fabulous. So if you're thinking about starting a new business, or even if you're already in business, they can help you with that too, to improve, grow, help you find funding, or deal with the paperwork. Because sometimes financial paperwork with funding is not as clear-cut as we'd like it to be. So they're a great resource. The other is with SBA, and also for our nonprofit groups, we have a nonprofit alliance committee, but also the Nonprofit Institute is also through CSM, but they do director calls, they do all types of things to help the nonprofits get through. Because let's be honest, with the Fed going through what they are right now, federal government, it's all going to be passed down to the state, and then that's all going to get passed down to the county, which means there will be less money for a lot of things.
Sure.
So I think we're going to see a huge domino effect. I think our county commissioners are going to have a real headache this budget go around because they're going to take the brunt of what the state isn't going to be able to do, or, they're going to have to make it up.
Yeah.
So I do not.
I'm already hearing some of that feedback from the local, like I guess some of the local departments that I do work for now, just not sure of the budget for the following year.
Yeah.
And they're having a hard time just planning what projects they can get done, what they can't, because everything's still up in the air on how much of a cut they're taking.
Yeah, I do not. I am so grateful I'm not in their position because this is going to be a tough year.
Yeah.
I think from here on out, for at least the next couple of years, they're going to have a tough road.
Sure. Because you're so involved in the business community in Calvert, are there any needs that you see Calvert County has right now that aren't being met, like industries, whether it's contractors or restaurants or bars or, is there anything that people are asking for?
I noticed you brought up bars.
Yeah.
How well do you know me? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Well, one thing with Calvert, I've always said this, like our Main Street really doesn't have restaurants or bars. Like you can't just walk down Main Street and go.
You can't do a crawl.
No, it's not like a fun Main Street,
I know. Well, I will say this. we have our little nook. So you've got Solomon's, who's walkable. Right. So your restaurants and all that. Then you've got North Beach, Chesapeake Beach, walkable places you can go there. I'm in Huntingtown. We don't have a square for anything like that. Or Prince Frederick. So they are working on creating a walkable or, maybe arts kind of place where you've got shops and different things in Prince Frederick.
Yeah.
But you're right. In the central part of the county, we don't have that kind of place. I've always envisioned a place like Leonardtown.
Yep.
Right? They've got the square. There's all kinds of things, all types of different things.
Leonardtown's growing, and I think they've done a really good job of kind of promoting that small town feeling.
Yeah.
We were just down there over the weekend, and it's a really cool area.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think like our Main Street by the courthouse has that little strip where it could be like that, but it's just not there.
Yeah. Well, maybe it'll change a little bit once they get people out of that in those buildings into the office building, administrative building.
Yeah.
Maybe then we'll be able to see a shift.
Yeah.
I know that the commissioners would love to see that, to see more of a Main Street type feeling.
Yeah.
Because I know they are doing some beautification on Main Street. So that's my hope too. Yeah.
Yeah, no. And what about anything else, like construction companies? Or I think my industry seems fairly competitive. Like there's I don't think we're lacking in the contractor world. What's your take on that?
I don't know. I think we're pretty balanced in a lot of areas. I would really, honestly, I would like to see more mom and pop restaurants or just, don't get me wrong. I like franchises or other restaurants like that I can get anywhere that I go because they're always the same.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's fine. But I love places like Heritage 485 because it's different. And somebody is creating that atmosphere, the food, the whole 9 yards. Or I can go to where no time to cook, right? You got the view, you've got that, and plus their classes. So I would love to have more of that.
Right. I think a lot of people would.
Yeah,
Even
more experience.
Like on the low scale side, even like a mom and pop like barbecue joint or something like that,
Yeah, Silver Diner, or what was the place, Burt's across, was that in Charles County or St. Mary's County? But something that you're putting your mark on.
Yeah.
I love those types of places. And those were the places we always went to as a kid.
Why do you think we're lacking in that here? just regulation, basically. Just too expensive to do business.
I don't know. I guess, stop and think about it, too. Here are some of the other things that the state of Maryland has put on small business. The unemployment insurance, workers' comp, the cost for minimum wage, right? So even a business that had, workers that had been there 5-10 years who were at $15, $17 an hour. Now you're bringing somebody brand new at that level. So what do I do with the person that's been with me for 5 years? Right. So now I can't afford. So for small business, it's just getting so expensive that it's like, I'm just going to have to hold my own for now.
Yeah.
I think I think some of it is some of the things we've talked about, but I also think it's some of the stuff that's coming down from Annapolis. They're making it very difficult in the state of Maryland as well as trickling down into the local areas for people to do business.
Yeah. No, I agree
Sad.
with that. Yeah.
Sad.
Do you see it getting better?
Honestly, I would like to say yes. I mean, we fight every day. I serve on a couple of committees with the Maryland Chamber of Commerce. They fight. They are diligent to fight to try to help the business owners. And, they keep us apprised of what's going on. And so we can fight alongside them and keep our members going too. Is it going to get better? I mean, I would like to be hopeful.
Yeah.
Normally I'm a positive person, but I'm not thinking it's
we're
going
in
to
the bottom 5 in the entire country. So
Yeah. I mean, we got a long ways to go.
Yeah.
But
Can't get much worse, right?
Here we go again.
Yeah.
Only way to go is up.
That's right.
I hope so.
Okay. Well, I hope so too. And then hopefully, like your organization can get people that are willing to work together to do it. Because like you said, like a single voice isn't going to do much. Yeah. You got to go up there in a team.
Yeah, we have to be loud, and the numbers count.
Yeah.
The numbers definitely count. And we can certainly get, not that one voice or one business owner's opinion doesn't matter, because it does when they go to testify or whatever the case may be. But when you go as an organization of 400 members, or we are up there with other chambers, it does make a difference.
Sure.
Yeah.
I completely agree. And I appreciate y'all doing that for sure.
Of course.
I think it's an important thing that's happening. So what are some upcoming events that the chamber's holding?
Well, we have a lot of really good stuff. I do want to mention, though, we are going to be holding an event with our legislators. So trying to get an update on what happened during the last session. We had something scheduled at the end of April, and we were unable to hold that event. But we are going to be doing something in June. Okay. And so stay tuned for that. We'll keep everybody apprised. We have an event at CSM, which is going to be May 8th. Right around the corner. And that is to talk to graduates. Yep. Because the big thing is, remember when you were 20, 21? I mean, I didn't even know what I wanted to do at that age. No. I mean, have babies at 21, sure. 22. So at the same time, with these graduates, we've got a lot of great kids that are coming out of the college. And so we're going to have a meet and greet. So if you're looking to hire or, that kind of thing, stop by. It's from 9 to 10:30 in the A building. Okay. But we have business appreciation. So if anybody wants to come to Mully's, the information is on our website. That is going to be on the 14th of May. It's Thursday. Double check the website just to make sure.
Okay. And these are all networking events?
These are all networking events. Yeah. And then we have our golf classic. Are you a golfer, Gene?
Everybody tries to make me a golfer, but...
Yeah, it's a great game.
But
you don't have to be good.
Yeah,
I've been doing it for long time, and I'm not good.
Yeah.
But I enjoy the 19th hole and, just that getting out there with people.
Sure.
Yeah, it's always good. That's on June 20th. And then for the ladies out there, we have a women's summit on August 13th, and that's at Rod and Reel. And we're also doing, for the first time, a women's health expo, and that's going to be about self-care. So, and that's in September. And then we have some other things. State of the County will be in September, and that's when we meet with our Board of County Commissioners. The beauty with that one is, as I said, this is going to be a tough year for them.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what they have to fill us in on.
I think it's going to be tough for the next year or two, because right now I think what I've been told too is Calvert County is switching over to a different way of managing their budgets. Like they don't get a budget and then they get to spend it. It starts at zero, and then they have to kind of ask for money for each individual project without knowing what their maximum, what the end is. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So like, how do you really prioritize what's important and where you're going to spend money? And the people that I've talked to really don't have the answers to that. And they're the ones responsible for scheduling projects and stuff.
Yeah, I think they did that because of what happened last year and all that, because it was so out of control or so hard for them, especially with the school portion of the budget. Yeah. So that was kind of a boil, So I think this is their way of kind of building into it. And I used to do budgets for the federal government, so I know that that's tough. I didn't have to build them. I had to get it from the program managers. Yeah. So when you tell people you have to cut their budget, that doesn't go very well.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine.
Yeah, they don't like that. So it is a tough one. But I mean, I'm grateful that we have a good relationship with the county.
Yeah. Because
together we have to get some things done, and we've been working closely with economic development and different departments, and it's worked very well for the chamber. So
yeah, excellent. No, I appreciate what you guys are doing. And when we post this, we'll put a link to the website and all that stuff. So do y'all have any social media pages and stuff? We do. So we are on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Okay. Yeah. We'll post all that and try to get people over there and active with you guys. Great. Maybe try to get you a couple new members. Oh, that'd be great. Yeah. Well, we appreciate you, Gene. Thanks. I appreciate it. No problem. Kathy, thanks for coming. I think it was a good conversation. Me too. Thank you. We'll keep Keep it going.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.